you want to propose a new place for the money?
Oh, yeah, I think that's Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Ways and Means Committee. I'm John Quincy, the chair, and joined by Council members Yang, Palmisano, Bender, and Council Vice President Glidden. And we are the committee and can do the committee's work here. I think there's 21 items on our agenda today. So if anybody had any questions, would like to pull any off for conversation, just let us know. The first several items are from the city attorney's office. One legal settlement with Angel Santiago, bid for Minneapolis Convention's parking ramp intercom system upgrade project. We also have a lease with Sprint for cellular equipment on Kenwood Water Tower. Item number 4 is a contract amendment with Classic Space for specialized equipment storage. 5 is a lease with Minneapolis Grain Exchange for public works office space. Item number 6 is the memorandum of understanding with Hennepin County for exchange of internal audit services. We also have item number 7, which is an unclaimed property ordinance, and this is setting the public hearing to consider that subject matter. We also have the Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee's agenda. It's just the one item. It's a subscription service agreement with Employee Milwaukee, Inc. From Public Safety, Civil Rights, and Emergency Management forwards us the Minnesota Board of Firefighter Training and Education Training Academy reimbursement. We also have the 2017 Community Engagement Grant from Minneapolis Police Department, Community Engagement Coordination. Contract with Minneapolis Public Schools for school resource officers. Contract for Horseman, Inc. for patrol horse boarding services. And the audit for Minneapolis Police Department mobile and body-worn camera video recording equipment programs. That's an audit report. We also have a grant application to the U.S. Department of Justice for the 2017 Community-Oriented Policing Services Hiring Grant. Transportation and Public Works Committee forwards us the water utility assessment or easement agreement with Millen Corporation for hydrant location. We also have an agreement with Aclara Technologies for advanced meter infrastructure purchase and implementation. Cooperative agreement with Hennepin County and Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board for traffic signal replacement and pedestrian improvement projects. Cooperative construction agreement with Hennepin County for the 35W and Lake Street access project. Item number 19 is the South Hay area resurfacing project. We also have a sidewalk repair and replacement assessment removal for 4300 4th Avenue South, and accepting the low bid from Kenny Construction Company for structural lining of water main. Are there any questions on those 21 items? We see Councilmember Bender.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to pull item 11, which is the contract with MPS for the school resource officers item.
Okay. Let's go ahead and take any action on the other items. Not seeing any questions on those 20 other items. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed. So those items can move forward. Let's talk about the item number 11. It's the contract with Minneapolis Public Schools for SRO. And I imagine, Robin, maybe you could help us on this, but Ms. Bender, go ahead, council member.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to pull this item because I've received comments from a couple of constituents about this program, and in particular, the fact that the contract is for 3 years instead of a shorter period of time. And the concerns I've heard are not, there are some concerns in the community, as I know folks are well aware of, about the presence of police officers in our schools. And I know that the public school district had a robust conversation about school resource officers. There were 3 scenarios presented as options: eliminate, reduce, and support, or sustain, I think were the 3. And the school district went with the one that was slightly reducing the number of officers in our schools by 2. I'm aware of that background. My concern comes from the fact that our school district has such a deficit that we are eliminating support staff in schools like social workers and other staff that are really there to make sure that our kids are supported and ready to learn. And over time, I would personally be supportive of the city taking on more of a financial responsibility for paying for officers in our school if we determine as a community that that's a priority for funding over other city resource priorities. But I'm concerned about the fact that the school district is paying money for 14 staff that are officers rather than using them for again, the kind of support staff that my constituents are telling me that they would prefer to see. Now, we're not the school board, and I understand that they made that decision. But for myself, for now, not going to support this item. I do know that the contract includes a element so that either party can ask to renegotiate the contract year by year, and I appreciate that, and I would hope that if this does pass, that then next year we'll be able to revisit this together as a community and perhaps have a little bit more engagement from the city council because again, I think this is an issue that really reaches across how the school community kind of interacts with the broader community, and that's what I'm hearing from my constituents.
Okay.
I don't really have any question. I mean,
Yeah.
if you wanted to respond to any of that,
If you
that'd
could
be fine.
talk, we also have a comment from Council Vice President Glidden. Perhaps we could tie them two together. I think we can talk about the term of the contract, the up to amount, and some flexibility that we might be able to work on. But Council Vice President, would you like to pose your question?
Thanks. It's not a question, it's really just a comment. I mean, so this is an item where we are more on the receiving end of what another jurisdiction has made a decision about what to do. I think that the venue for commenting is not inviting folks here to our council meeting, but how we engage with the school board on their decisions. You know, I'm a parent as well and have contact with the school board members. I hear as well from constituents. I think the school board really took a very thoughtful approach to how to work with the school community on this issue. They had a lot of feedback. They heard from students. They heard from school faculty. They heard from administration. And I think they really did their best job to have more engagement than they have ever had before on some of these important questions. And I think some of the feedback they got is reflected in the kind of contract and how those officers will be relating within the school environment. And maybe you'd like to talk about what are some of those changes, again, because I think that's driven by direction from the school district staff and from the school board. So I think our role right here is this a contract that we feel we can support, and then we go through those mechanisms of evaluating, is this a proper contract? It is a little bit different than when we're making decisions about resources that we are funding. And we do that, of course, in the budget time, and we have a good amount of discussion about what that looks like. So, so I feel comfortable that we are kind of in our proper roles, honestly, right now. And I do agree that this will be something that will be of continued discussion into the future.
Mr. Chair, council members, regarding, first of all, Councilmember Bender, regarding, I just wanted to confirm that this is a contract that every year is open for negotiation as long as one or either of the parties brings it up before February 1st. So there is the opportunity for both sides to discuss, renegotiate, bring other people in, ask for additional information from both sides. I think that DC Fulkins can better address Councilmember Glidden's conversations, but I would agree with her that I do feel that the school district did a lot of advanced investigation with surveys, talking with both parents and students and with faculty. So I agree with you. I feel that they were very proactive in getting input for this contract.
Deputy Chief?
Yeah, Council Chair and council members. I would say this contract negotiation, we spent quite a sizable amount of time with the school district, going through a rubric that was put out by the Department of Education on the best utilization of school resource officers and what that looks like within the school districts. In a nutshell, I can really say that our school resource officers are there to assist with safety and safety planning of the schools, but more so, they're there to have youth engagement with the students. They're not involved in disciplinary problems in the schools. They're there to be used as a resource for the schools in just kind of keeping a lid on things when things get a little out of hand. But statistically, our arrests in the schools have gone way down. Our disorderly conduct referrals to the Hennepin County Attorney's Office was like 6 for last year alone. So we are really moving into an area of problem solving and not arresting out of the schools, and trying to keep kids in the schools where they can best learn.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question on this item. Is this something that MPS is paying the full cost for these SROs in here? Is there cost sharing involved? Because obviously, I think there's value for our police department to have officers in the schools serving as mentors, being a positive influence for youth. In the larger scheme of things, then it makes a lot of sense what Council Member Bender said to me about the city stepping up more so with the financial role in this.
Council Chair, or Mr. Chair, Council Member Johnson, it is a split cost between, and this is historically the way it's run. We pay, the police department, or the city, I should say, pays approximately 25% of the cost of the program, and the school district this year is paying 75%. Last year, it was pretty similar. I think the change was 28% to 72% of the cost. This, like I said, has been historically how we've done it. We agree with you that the police department and the city do reap a reward with the engagement portion of this program, and we feel it's a very, very worthwhile program for lots of people and for the city itself.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's a great question. I just would like to point out this is for a not to exceed amount. I believe that does still give time for both the school district and the city to respond. If there's a change in how they would like to allocate those funds, that's something we can work with. This is not a minimum guarantee for the police force budget to reflect. This is something that is an outside cost estimate from the district's point of view. So thank you for your help in negotiating that and remaining flexible to make sure what happens in the schools meets the school district's needs, and the city is there as an active partner in making that happen. Thank you very much. Mr. Ruff, looks like you have a comment.
Mr. Chair, just being that it's Monday, I just wanted, going back to item 13, there was that technical issue about the source of funding for the additional body cam. Right now, it's out of the controller, and our recommendation was to have the source of funding to be the self-insurance, which if you want to take care of during the committee of whole is fine. I just wanted to remind the committee that that was a technical change that we had recommended.
Let me mention that I did skip over that rather quickly, and that's what you were talking about, Councilmember Palmisano. Thank you for that. So what's offered in the packet right now is an amended version from the committee's, Public Safety Committee's action. Is that correct? And it simply changes the source?
The source. No difference on the amount of funding or the purpose of the funding, just the source.
So that's really be acting as an amendment to what was passed out of that committee. So what would go forward out of this committee would be the change in the funding source, but for the same amount of purpose.
Okay.
Thank you. That would be my correction. Thank you for bringing that up. I should have made it. Councilmember Palmisano, if you'd like to comment on it, please.
Chair Quincy, I just wanted to acknowledge that this seems to be the best and most appropriate source of funds, and I just really appreciate staff continuing to work on it. It was something that came up rather quickly. We needed a funding source quickly, and I'm very comfortable with with this change.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good. All right, I think we already voted on that technically, didn't we? But we're getting around to that. Sorry. Councilmember Bender.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a final comment on item number 11.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
So I just want to clarify that my comments and my vote are really an indication of my openness in the future to entertain the idea that the city of Minneapolis would take on a greater financial responsibility for this program, particularly to our colleagues at the school board, because I know that they're weighing a lot of really difficult decisions right now, and I imagine that they worked to negotiate the best contract that they could for themselves and our students. But again, seeing that this is a 3-year time frame, if we're not able to change that to a shorter time frame, I just wanted to very publicly voice again my support for us to continue to revisit this program and understand what the role of the city could be in the financial support for this going forward in the future. And I want to say, I know that a lot of thought had gone into this, a lot of community engagement. There's been shifts in the program, and I know that these officers are doing a really great job in our schools for the most part. And while there have been concerns raised, I know the department is working with the schools to address them. So just wanted again to make sure that we continue to think about this going forward.
Very good. Thank you for that comment. We're still on item 11 at this point. We haven't taken an actual vote on that. So I know we're going to make a comment on something else. Just want to clarify, was there any other comments on item number 11? Thank you. All those in favor of item number 11 with the SRO contract with MPS, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that item carries with one opposition for the clerk's benefit. And then Councilmember Palmisano, did you have a comment on something we should have cleaned up? What's that, item number 7?
No, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move to reconsider item number 13 with the change in funding so that we don't need to then go and
Fair
do
enough.
it at committee of the whole or full council,
Okay.
so that it
All-
will go. as
All
consent.
those in favor of the reconsideration, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that item carries. Now, reopening item number 13 with the amended language on the source of the agreement as moved. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? That item carries as amended. Thank you very much for that clarification question. Item number 7 has an unclaimed property ordinance is setting a public hearing, but we've noticed there isn't a date attached to that, Council. Could you help us out with that, Madam Clerk?
Chair Quincy, I left it open due to the fact that the next Ways and Means
Right.
may or may not be happening. Therefore, it would just by council rules go to the next regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay.
So it will either happen August 14th or August 28th.
Okay. Thanks very much for that. So I think we're generally covered, so we don't have to re-vote on it, but it does give us notice that we're having some travel schedule complications with folks for the August 14th. So we'll not be convening a Ways and Means meeting on the 14th. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the committee is on the 28th. Just wanted to note that for folks. If there is some pending action that requires our action, we can reconvene at a prior date as a special meeting. And that'll be called as we're available often at times like before the committee of the whole or before the council meeting itself. So we can make sure we take action to keep things on. But the notice has been given to staff and everybody at this point has been able to say we'll be able to accommodate the 28th as the meeting. So I just wanted to let everybody else know that. So we'll just keep that open as an item for item number 7, but that should be squared away. All right, seeing no further business before us, we're adjourned. Thanks.